Right, folks, I want to give us one last chance. One last chance. Right. Last chance, Celine. Let's see if this works. If not, we'll have to do it another night. Down Landy now. Hallelujah, we're back, Andy.
We're back. Thank goodness. I blame your phone. It wasn't mine.
So we've basically lost your 25 minutes of your explanation of your polos.
Ah, dear.
Right. So that was a bit of a bummer. Just go on the bread van again. We'll just move on.
Yeah. So this is just a Polo L bread van. It's the lowest spec you can get in a Polo. It doesn't even have a glove box. It didn't have a radio or anything. No side trims. The only thing it has been spec'd with from the factory is a set of mud flaps.
Luxury.
Yeah, it had the real standard flat seats. You can see, you can see in there or not. It has no radio and stuff. This car came out of. I've actually got a sheet. Hang on to tell you what price it was new. Hang on. It was a Polo C. It was not a Polo L. And it was, including delivery, £4,262.38. And that was 1983. This car's 84, so it's roughly around that price. So it was. I got this car out of Stock Brothers, which is a Volkswagen dealer down in Belfast. They took it as a trade-in, and they were going to scrap it. A delivery driver from TPS came into my place and says, there's a wee Polo land down there at Stock Brothers. If you go down today, you'll get it. The scrap man's coming for it on Saturday morning, first thing. This was Friday. So I went down with the trailer on behind the big Passat, and I gave him 50 quid for it and brought it home. Brought it home, pushed it off the trailer, or drove it off the trailer, and was like, what am I going to do with it? This driver's door had been changed for a red one, and the fella had painted it with a brush, and just looked like he painted with a yard brush, like the runs down it was dreadful. So there's a wee bit of rust and stuff on it around the corner, around the wheel arches. So a young fella started painting across the road, and he was doing a bit of painting with my dad's van. He just happened to come back into the yard with my dad's van. And he's like, oh, what are you doing with the Polo? I said, I don't really know. It needs paint. The rest of it seems pretty good. He says, strip it out, bring it across the road, 200 quid, I'll paint the two sides.
Sweet.
So I was like, do me? So I stripped it out, took all the glass and all out. About 20-minute job, because there's nothing to take off it. Took the bumpers off it, took the door handle off it, the mirror, took the glass out, took it across the road. So yeah, done that, painted the wheels, and yeah, that's all I've done to it. I think that you robbed the fuel pump off it for your Mark 1, so it's...
Oh, yeah. Must return that someday.
So yeah, that's them. And then I mentioned earlier that I had two Passats. That is the other one buried in there. It's another GL5.
That was meant to be your wedding car, wasn't it, Peggy?
It was, yeah. That was meant to be the wedding car. But that's Peggy.
It was a project that snowballed, basically, wasn't
it? Yeah. So yeah, it was a tea bag. The sills, floors, just need a lot of work. It's nearly there. It's more or less finished. Most of the welding's done. Bar one, or the two rear wheel arches need replaced on it.
Yeah. It looks near finished. Yep.
So yeah, I see that.
Mark Hill says Northern Ireland's Jamie Orr.
Hi, pretty much. I haven't got as big a wheel collection as him.
Look at that. So we've lost the first 20 minutes of the videos. Do you want to just give a quick 2-minute rest of the tour of the shed that you've spent a lot of time going over?
Yep. So that is the 87 V2 Passat GL5.
That your wife says fits a mattress nicely.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
This is 91 Polo G40. Then we have Mark II Coupe S, on PLS Hockenheims, and TA Technics coilovers. 2 GTs. The red one is completely standard, 45,000 miles, one lady owner from new. Black one was my daily, which has bits and pieces done to it. Drove that for a long time, abused it massively. But yeah, and then the wee Polo we're just talking about. So
very good.
On
the next room.
On the next room, quite side, and
now we're talking.
My 1986 Audi quattro. Not to be confused with a UR quattro, as it hasn't got the boxed arches and no turbo. But they're actually less made. There's less coupe quattros made than turbo quattros, so getting rare now too.
Yeah.
Also because a lot of them are using these cars to make their short wheelbase replicas, because obviously it's cheaper to cut up. These have the same floor pan, so they use these, cut them up, and then put a fiberglass kit on them, make them look like a short wheelbase quattro. This ended up, I used this instead of Peggy for my wedding car, so it wasn't a bad backup.
Some old man drove it to the wedding for you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I had the G40, this, and the B2 Audi 80 for the wedding cars instead. So
yeah, two crackers.
Yeah. Bought this 86 Quattro quite a while ago now too. My boss bought that car when it was 3-year-old. Drove it for 3 years, sold it to his brother, and I bought it off his brother then, and then had it up at Ballymena Car Fest. Oh, when was that? When was the last time we were up at Ballymena Car Fest?
Oh, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I'm sure.
Yeah, a fella came over to me and he says, "I bought that car new." He says, "I bought that car." He says, "I'd always wanted a Quattro." He says, "I bought that car new," and he says the only reason I sold it was to buy a turbo. So he was a car dealer, and so he bought it. So it's originally an I car, not the original reg. The fella said he kept the regs off it. So, but it is the original NI Quattro.
In your few years of ownership, you're finding that parts for the coupe is particularly hard. It's actually harder to get parts for that than a proper Quattro.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, because Quattros are 5-stud, 5-112, and as you know, most Volkswagens are 4x100. When it came to the Quattro, they were like, "Oh, let's do something different." So they went 4x108. So brakes are different. The suspension's different to a Quattro, or the turbo Quattro. It's narrower, obviously. Different. Just it's ridiculous. The amount of differences on it. The only thing that's the same is the headlight, like from the rub strips up, is everything's the same, bar the quarter panels and the wings. So tail lights, headlights, and all interior doors, that sort of stuff is all the same as the UR Quattro. But yeah,
let's see that 80s interior.
So lovely black and grey, all bland. It's got a really tacky radio in it, which was in it when I bought it and still never got changed for anything else. But yeah, so it's got the lockable diffs. So one is locks the rear diff, 2 locks the center diff. Then you've got your volt gauge and oil temperature gauge and stuff here as well. But yeah, parts getting
that was high tech back then to have that in the car.
Yeah. Now the modern ones are a torsion diff, and they went the changed. They went for a torsion diff then, and then and in the rear you could lock on the slightly later ones, and then they done away with the locking on altogether then on the newer Quattros and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're saying about parts. The driver's window regulator, a second-hand one, it's 250 quid for second hand. You cannot get a driver's door window regulator for it.
And you hope it works.
I was on the honeymoon when we took a car on our honeymoon down south, and we were down south, and the next thing I went to put the window up, crack, wouldn't go up. So in the hotel car park, I had to start taking the door panel off it and try and get the window back up. So when I came back home, there was a fella that used to break older Audis and stuff, and I took the old one up to him, and he had a hold of a stack of them sitting in the corner of the shed, and he says, hook through them. He says, you might find something. So I found one. 20 quid later, job's a good one.
So, they've such presence, them cars, just the wide arches, the width of them.
I love the back end of them, the smoked taillights. And, always just, I remember this car. This is one of the cars that came in. Obviously, it was because it was my boss's brother's car. I remember him coming in to our work to get it serviced or get it prepped for MOT, and he left and ripped it up the road, and I was just like, that 5-cylinder sound. I want one of them someday. And I ended up buying that car. So yeah. Now the price of these again have gone through the roof. In the short time I've actually owned it, I paid some of them advertised for like 10 and 12 grand for just a coupe quattro. I paid two for that car.
Stole it, Andy. You didn't pay it.
So yeah. Now I've had to put two rear arches, inner and outer rear wheel arches on it. Had to get the front jacking points replaced. I've replaced all the brakes. Had to get rear springs, replace the shocks. It's just exhaust and stuff is all obsolete. You ring TPS and they're just like, "Are you having a laugh?" So
me no comprende.
Yeah, or most auto parts places you go in. Well, my local auto parts, kind of auto parts there, they just go, "What are you wanting now?" When I bring any of my registrations in, it's my own car. They're like,
Andy walks in and suddenly everybody's in a tea break.
Yeah. So then this is my 1984 or 83, a brown Audi 80. My wife calls it, or Ellen calls it, the turd, because of no guessing why, I suppose. I bought a Mark II GTI 8 valve with 250,000 mile on it, and I was driving it, and my dad came home one day and says, "There's a fella here has an Audi 80 for sale, and he's looking at a Mark II Golf." I was like, right. So went up and seen the Audi. It was sitting in a hen house, stinking, and it had dropped the valve and wrecked the engine, and he couldn't get an engine anywhere for it. And I bought the Mark II for 250 quid, and it came with MOT on it, and I was driving away at it. I put big M burns in it, and I was driving the Mark II as a daily. And it was really, the Mark II was a really tight driving car, but the bodywork was really rough on it.
Robin says, great driving machine, especially with a few bridesmaids in it.
Just what did you say about them bridesmaids? They were my sisters. So I done a straight swap. Brought the Audi home, and I had an engine sitting, as you do. Original 16 8 valve, a low mileage one out of a B2 Passat. Had it sitting. So that weekend I had the engine swapped into it, and it's sitting running. So
did you drive it down to your man and say, "Hello, I fixed your car"?
Aye. But
Connor says if a car Andy bought doesn't come from a hen house, did he even buy a car?
Yeah, I like saving things that out of the back of sheds and stuff. So That's where the bargains are to be found. Well,
Yeah.
not so much now, but used to be able to find them.
Here, you're telling me it's harder to get them. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I had been planning to take this or put this car on the road last year. Then coming up to MOT, the morning of MOT, I went out to it and turned the key, and the oil relief valve and the oil pump seized and put the oil pressure up that high that it blew all the seals out of the gaskets, or all the oil filter gaskets, and blew all the gaskets out of her. So that ended up being then trying to get an oil pump for it was hard work. So got an oil pump for it eventually, and then got it all built up. Discovered the head gasket had blew the oil, had pressure had blew the head gasket. So it just lay in the shed then for a while, and then lockdown came along, gave me a bit of time.
Andy's project suddenly became alive again.
Yeah, so I took it home with me and done it. Because of lockdown, couldn't be travelling up and down the road and stuff so much, so I took it home to my own garage. We carport type garage at the house and put a head gasket on it. And the wheels that I bought maybe 4 years ago.
That's right. The fun metals off Matt, aren't they?
Yeah. So that's them there. I bought them off Matt. So I got them polished up and finally stuck them on it. So
they look well on it now.
So currently trying to make coilovers for these cars aren't, well, they are available. KW do them off the shelf, but they are a fortune. They've got a reared hub layout at the front. So I'm currently trying to make my own coilovers with using parts from Mark II Golf coilovers and stuff. So hopefully have them sorted just to get it down a wee bit. And I've got managed to find a front splitter off an Audi, from this year, for the wee front valves for the front of it. So hopefully get it painted and get it put on as well. So yeah, it's also brown on brown on brown.
80's cool. 80's cool.
Yeah, all brown. Brown dash, brown seats, everything brown. But yeah, interior and all is really good in this wee car too. So it is. It has seen bits and pieces of paintwork. You knew one of the previous owners. You put the suspension that's in it now, I believe, didn't you?
Well, yeah, we'll not talk about
that. Yeah, there's a few. When I went to take the struts out, there's a few odd bolts.
I won't be held responsible for what went on that day in that workshop.
But like that, it's got a lowering shocks and spring kit in it, and as you can see, like it's not very low.
I remember the day we put the suspension in, and I think it actually made it sit higher because the old suspension was sagging.
Yeah.
So when you put the new lowered suspension in, it sat higher.
Yeah. I think it's maybe from a sport or something which has a slightly heavier engine.
Right.
So it might have. But yeah.
It's so cool in that colour too. Like I would say that colour would be brave and rare in them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the colour of it. Like I think it's a great colour. We had a 911, a 997 911 came into our work, and it wasn't far off the colour of that, and I thought it was lovely. So it was. But
definitely two absolutely awesome Audis. Cool.
Yeah. So then we'll move on to what my other lockdown project is then. So, you and me went to buy this car
off loan
5 years ago, I think. I was looking back. It's sat in the corner of my shed ever since. It is an 89 200. Connor, did you fit the Lawrence Springs upside down? That sounds about right.
Full name mode.
Yeah. So this is a 1989 Audi 200 Quattro. This has a 10-valve turbo engine out of a Audi quattro. Again, parts for this car are a nightmare. I've spent most of this time in lockdown searching for parts for it. So I'm getting there now. So yeah, what started out was I just got a set of Lawrence Springs for it. When I looked at it, I thought, it just needs Lawrence Springs, or it had broken springs, so I got a set of Lawrence Springs for it, and then thought I better replace the shocks while I'm there. Turned into.
If Llewellyn's listening, you could fit a double mattress in the back of that one, I think.
Yeah, it's 16 and a half foot long from bumper to bumper. So yeah, But so what started out as just lowering springs and stuff has turned into a full, well, a
Restoration.
light restoration, we'll say, because I discovered the fuel tank was leaking, so I've had to send it off to get it resealed and stuff. So, but got a set of H&R lowering springs through Robin at the time. Then I got the last set of Bilstein B8 shock absorbers that Bilstein had on the shelf in Germany. The fella said, that's the last set of shocks for that car. So
I'll have them, mate.
yeah, so lucky to get them. So I have been slowly going through. I've rebushed the front subframe, new gearbox mountings, rebushing the back end as well.
I hope you're taking lots of photos this year so you can print them out into a wee folder, and then in 20 years' time you can sit like an old boy in your deck chair at shows and show your folder photos.
Yeah. Hope. I haven't. That's one thing I haven't been doing is taking a lot of photographs of it. I surely should take more. I'm very bad for that, but yeah. So from what I believe, the 200 was the most expensive Audi you could have bought in '89, and this was really high spec. This car. The only thing that I can see that is missing off the spec list is roof rails, but they're hideously tall, funny, stupid-looking roof rails. So
glad they're not on it.
Quite glad they're not on it. But it's got a full leather sports interior, electric seat, memory seats. It has got air. It has got air conditioning, climate control, digital dash, analog dash. Yeah. So
it's
quite a bit.
From being at that time, like it's really well kitted out inside compared to some.
It is. Yeah, it's good, as I say, electric. Like in '89. Oh, sorry, my phone's starting to get a bit low on charge here. Put it on. In '89, like for having all like electric memory seats and all that jazz, digital dash and stuff, so it's quite well spec'd. It also has the 4-wheel drive system, our quattro system in it, but it's got a torsion center diff and then lockable rear diff. So it has. But yeah, again, parts of this car are a nightmare. It shared the floor pan with an Audi V8, which most people haven't even heard of. And the early Audi, or the sort of next shape Audi 100 quattros and stuff. But so yeah,
you only thought the coupe was hard to get parts for until you started working on that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Now some bits and pieces have been easier because they kept the parts running through other cars and stuff. But like it's got ABS, and the ABS sensors are obsolete. So if I damage one of them, that's it. I don't know what I'm going to do. But so I can't see anybody that has ABS sensors for them. I had to put ABS rings on the drive shafts, but they were the same as early A4s, so I was able to get them. But then we'll move on to.
Look forward to seeing that. That'll be cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking forward to getting it out and getting to drive in it.
I see a reload in the background there, Andy.
Not the reload bar.
Oh, very good.
I've got the big
shameless plug.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to see.
Oh, there's an RS4 just casually hanging about behind you. Oh, nice. Very good.
Yeah, wrap it out. I want to see. We'll get you spun around again.
Come speak.
Go round. Can't get to spin around again. How long to see? Oh, there we go now. So, yeah, customers RS4 getting a bit of work.
Nice.
So it is.
Cooler's finally done, is it?
Yep, oil cooler and all leak free. So, just a wee traction control light to get out. So, yeah. Then this is
the last vehicle, Andy, is it?
Eh?
The last vehicle here, is it?
Well, I can show you another couple if you want. Like,
yeah. Keep on trucking.
This is the latest purchase. Bought this the end of last summer. Being now married and 2 kids, this is the family holiday wagon.
Yeah.
So it is a 1990 T25 Westphalia, left-hand drive. It's Westphalia, California. German import, not by me. It was imported. It's been in Northern Ireland for quite a few years. But yeah, it's been fun. Been out on it got the end of the summer last year, hoping to get away on it this year, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Wouldn't give up yet. I think they might just let you tour about in a camper van.
So yeah, it's a 4-berth rock and roll bed. Westphalia interiors are like these were the Rolls Royce of their day. They were the best camper on the best conversion. Well, they weren't even a conversion. They went from the factory with the hole in the roof to Westphalia. So they weren't a panel van or anything that was cut. These were a proper van that Volkswagen or that Westphalia were building. Like they weren't no conversion. Like but again, 2 front seats spin around, blah blah. But yeah, great wee van, a wee 16 turbo diesel, left-hand drive, being a German import. But yeah, great fun. So it has been all white. So it was been painted in 1960s Beetle colour, I believe.
It's not too far off a Porsche colour either, really, is it?
Pardon?
Not too far off a Porsche colour.
It's not far away, no. So I plan to probably down the line go back to white and put the original California stickers and stuff on it, and then plan to hopefully put these here on it then. Set of not Pegasus, they are AMG Pigantas, I believe. 16 by 8s they are. So hopefully put them on and get it painted back to the original white with the stickers and stuff on it. So that should be a good wee. That's a great wee van to be away in, like, so it is. Missing not getting the use out of it at the moment, but
Connor
yeah.
says green.
I like originality. He like green. I don't. But so let me see. Yeah, I've only a couple more to go, and then we'll wrap it up. But
there's just another coupe line.
yeah, as a coupe GT, it's just a parts car. Like, it's too far. It needs too much work to do, and plus parts being so rare to get. This came up at reasonable money, and I just thought I'll buy it to have for the white or for the quattro. This is only a 2-wheel drive, still the same engine. It was the last GT, so it's got a 2-point. So it's still got the 223 engine stuff in it. So it has. So usually the GTs are only a 2-litre, so same engine as the quattro and stuff. But then another project car that's been pushed by the wayside. Mark II, 16 driver, which has got. I see. Get this open. A bird's nest in it. That's usually the last time I was in here.
That adds extra power, don't you know?
Yeah, extra power from your 18T is a bird's nest on the top of it. So yeah, I've 18T conversion. Have everything there. I have a KO4 turbo, bigger downpipe, wiring loom, everything's sitting for it. Limited slip diff, but just.
I think you're going. That'll be Katie's first car.
Yeah. So it's a long way off going. Everything's in the back of it. Everything's for it. Bigger brakes, Mark III fuel tank.
You need to
all there
from the back to the front, Andy.
Yeah. So I'll get done someday. It's a really good shell. That's the car that was on behind the Passat when it got stopped by the police. So it was. Then buried in there, if anybody can make it out, is a Mark I Jetta.
Where you had that kept now?
Yeah, Mark 1 Jetta, 16 turbo diesel. Well, it was originally a 16 straight diesel. I converted to a 16 turbo diesel. Bought that originally to do the Scally Rally in out around Ireland, which was done the right out round Ireland in 4 days, and it never missed a beat. There were 4 of us went in it with a pile of stuff, and never missed a beat. End up towing other people's cars back to finishing points and whatever else, and the garages and stuff. But yeah, such a great car. That was in one of the first Dub Shed videos.
That's right.
I believe as well.
The one where the shutters goes up in the shed.
Yeah. So it was. We've used it for doing filming out of the back off as well for the rolling shots. So it was. I love bass hanging out the back of it, out of the boot and out of the back seat stuff. So,
that was 9 years ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's good old international there for Brownie.
Always good to have a few trackers lying about, Andy.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's pretty much it. There's other stuff, but it's not really worth the dander up to see them. Like they're not, they're just parts cars.
Your daily van then, Andy, you have a T4, don't you?
Yep, I almost see. So yeah, T4 2.5 TDI. My dad converted it using genuine Volkswagen sliding windows, tinted windows, to a crew cab. Connor, what hat are you wearing today? Roadkill, of course. But yeah, my dad bought the van.
Where's it today, Andy?
I watched it the other week, and then of course the next day it rained and it's stinking again. But it's lucky to see I washed that van, so it is. But yeah, it's a great daily. It's a great family wagon with being a crew cab, like, so it is. So handy, so it is. I haven't been able to. Had other dailies and stuff, and nothing is as practical as that. So for towing, be able to put stuff in it to go away or whatever, carry kids, you name it. It's a great all rounder, like. So it is. But yeah, another customer's car as well. But yeah, no, that's pretty much us. So it is.
I think everybody will agree. You've got quite the extensive collection of Volkswagens and Audis.
Yeah. And everybody says, "Oh, you must be rich. You must be rich." I just happened to be at the right place at the right time and buy them for very little before anybody else had thought about buying them. So, like the Passat and stuff, that was originally a parts car for the blue one at the time, and I bought it, and then I ended up buying the Passat. Then later down the line, it was going for scrap, and I bought it back again. So, yeah. Another glimpse of your cars there, Nigel.
Get with them. Right. We'll leave it there, Andy. I'm in night shift tonight. I better make a move.
You're in night shift?
Oh dear.
I want to flick it around again. There we're back.
There we go.
But yeah, no, it's been good. Good chatting to you. I've been enjoying these videos this last couple of weeks. Glad to be able to come on and show my own stuff.
Yeah.
So it has.
Trying to encourage more people to come on. There seems to be a good wee community in the podcast. So I think going by video, I think it's a good way to get everybody together. Maybe down the line we might look at YouTube or something like that there. But
yeah. No, definitely worth it. No, it's been really good. I enjoy listening to the podcast too. Like, I didn't listen to podcasts, and then you said, "Oh, we're going to start doing a podcast." I was like, "Oh, I'll have to start getting into these things." So
I put you on the Revival.
You put me on the Revival and a couple other ones and stuff. So yeah, now yours and Revival and a couple of other ones that I listen to a wee bit, but Revival and your own is the only ones I listen to every episode. So
yeah,
very enjoyable.
They're going well, and everybody seems to be liking them so far. And few big plans down the line if the world would sort itself out, like, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah. So thanks very much, Andy, for coming on.
No bother. Sorry about the whole big mess up in the middle of it there, but
Here, it was my end. It was my end. So it was.
yeah,
Like,
sort your Wi-Fi out there.
um, yeah,
But
I'm at 4G outside now. That's what I'm doing. Right. Thanks very much, Andy. See you later.
no bother at all. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheerio.
Bye.
No bother. Cheerio. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Again, thanks very much to Andy for showing us around his collection. I'm sure you agree it's pretty awesome. Apologies for the start of the video. He had showed us around about 5 of the cars, mainly Polos in the first shade. So apologies for that there. These things happen. Internet, it's great when it's working. As I said at the start of the Instagram Live, episode 11's out now. It was basically about the VR6 engine, bit of news, bit of Q&A. If you want to go and give that a listen, rate and review it. You know, we haven't had a review in a while. Rate it if you haven't done already. And yeah, we've got some cool episodes coming up in the future. Over the next week or so, we're going to have a few more lockdown logs. And if you want to get involved, give us a shout, or we'll be in contact with you anyway, whether you like it or not. So I'll leave it there, folks, because I have to go to work. And good night. Take it easy.